Well, it's Monday, December 9th, 2019, and this is the Pro and the Con show. Actually, I'm doing a show for the last few days. I had what I thought was going to be one of the most mild head colds I'd ever had. I made the mistake of mentioning to that to my wife, and then wham, it hit me like a ton of bricks. Thursday, Friday, part of Saturday. And then I had some things to, we were throwing some parties for my wife. She has her 50th birthday coming up. Anyway, and so it was convenient to gather some friends this past weekend. So I was pretty darn busy. So anyway, so I apologize, I skipped a couple of days here. And again, the purpose of the show, please, please, please be better citizens. This is really, we're really in trouble, folks. We really are. And if we all don't take some extra time to try to figure out what really are the facts, the who, the what, the where, and the when, and then who is telling us what, and what is, the real information, and what sources are we getting that information from, and is the same information coming from multiple sources? These all are things that we have to look at very closely because, wow, there is a tremendous amount of bias in what is out there. And if you are looking at only, a particular website or so-called news station that, kind of mostly reflects things that you believe in, or at least generally kind of thinks or appeals to your normal instincts or whatever on the various issues. You have to be real careful because that same information stream can just target you and just send you just more and more and more information, and not send you other information that would explain why there are people that feel very much different than you do. And so please be open to at least listening to opposing views and finding out why. Why do you feel the way that you do? Now, there's an ongoing issue right now with there's impeachment hearings going on in Congress, and step by step they're taking the steps to almost certainly impeach the president, or basically charge him with articles of impeachment. And then it's going to go to the Senate, where the slight Republican majority is basically going to hold a so-called trial and then acquit the president. This is where it's all headed. And every step of the way, there's just these politicians, the Democrats and the Republicans, and it's a totally partisan thing. I can't, so 58 years old, I don't remember ever in my lifetime anyway where the chasm is so huge. There is zero tolerance even for allowing someone to say something that does not align with what you want said. And so you go to if you watch the hearings, every Republican has the exact same script and speaking points, and they just, hear blah, 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 blah. And every single Democrat has the same script, blah, 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 blah. And, unfortunately, it gets quite boring. And the thing that is most disturbing is that they don't really, there's just no allowance for the fact that there's probably some truth in all of it. It's zero tolerance. So the other part that's going on is this, so the Russia probe, so this is the Mueller report and where all of this interference with Russia And why did all that probe get started? So Attorney General picked an internal investigator to investigate this. And this fellow came back with his report. And as I say, the different news, not news, but information streams, step by step, some of them are more left-leaning, some are more right-leaning, and generally I find that NPR is, pretty just matter of fact about the reporting. So we're going to start with NPR and about this investigation of the Russian probe, so probing the probe. And so Department of Justice watchdog on Russia probe says this: no evidence of bias, but there were problems with some of the surveillance that occurred. So here's Mr. Horowitz, and he put together this report, and he found no evidence of bias against Mr. Trump or the Republican Party. But he said, oh yes, some of the junior FBI agents made some mistakes and they should have done some things differently. And the so-called Steele dossier did influence getting some of these investigations going, but it was only a part of the evidence that they were using to proceed. And also, when they found out that Mr. Steele was trying to sell this kind of information, he was it was out there being marketed, they broke ties with him and said, okay, that's it, we're not messing with that information anymore or that source. We're going to do things that we can independently investigate that aren't potentially motivated by profit, which is a sound thing that you would expect the FBI to do. So now let's look at Huffington Post. So this is what Huffington Post has on their website. So the watchdog, this is the DOJ investigator. FBI errors, but no anti-Trump plot. Okay. And just to show the other, again, left-leaning, so Huffington Post, left-leaning, and there are people that just read the Huffington Post, okay, which, not good. Not good. Too left-leaning, too much, The truth is the both sides of the coin, the pro and the con, the good and the bad, the for and against. So there's another little smaller headline down here at the bottom left, and it says, Republicans throw a temper tantrum during the second impeachment hearing. Okay, so now let's go to Fox News, which is on the other side. So now on the conservative Republican supporting kind of website. And the headline is, Durham blisters Horowitz after IG reports bears FBI brass in the Trump probe origins. Okay, and let me read you some of the smaller headlines in here. So it's a disgrace. Trump comments on the DOJ watchdog Horowitz report. So Mr. Trump has been saying, oh, just wait until this report comes out. You're going to find out that this was all a huge witch hunt and all the people involved were 100% never Trumpers, and they were out to get me in every possible way, and this was an attempt at a coup, and on and on and on. And now that the report is out, it's a disgrace because it doesn't say what Mr. Trump wants it to stay, which is all Mr. Trump does. Is if you are saying something that he likes, you're the greatest thing in the world. If you're saying something he doesn't like, you're horrific, you're stupid, you're terrible, you're ugly, you're whatever he can label you with, because you're not saying things that he wants you to say. That's Mr. Trump. And so there is a headline here that seems to be mostly truthful. So the DOJ watchdog finds no bias in the launch of the Trump-Russia probe, but does uncover significant FBI errors. And then some of the people in the DOJ that Mr. Trump has recently appointed to their roles are basically saying we do not agree with the results of this probe. So this is another thing where, when's it going to end, folks? This especially when the partisan part of this has gotten so bad that they will not even recognize black and white. They just summarily will refuse to even recognize this piece of paper is black, this piece of paper is white. And it's there for all the world to see, but if the Republicans don't agree with that for whatever reason, they'll look at a piece of paper that's white and say, no, it's black. And the same thing is true for the Democrats and vice versa. The only way to fix it is to get rid of the political parties. George Washington even knew that this was going to be a horrific thing. And it wasn't anywhere nearly as bad as it is today in his day. But one of the reasons why he refused to continue in office as president was because these two political parties had risen up, and the infighting between them, two tribes seeking wealth, influence, and power on their own merits. I think they're horrific people. Not just people in general, but the leadership. These wealthy, powerful individuals who have nothing better to do than to just, contrive to attain additional wealth, influence, and power. And it's on us. We're going to have to change it. We're going to have our own Independence Day, not from a monarchy from across the ocean, but from the tyranny of a two-party political system that we've allowed to exist for a couple of 100 years now. All right, so for the Pro and Con show for actually a few days, Friday, December 6th through today, Monday, December 9th, I'm Michael James Ott, your host. Thanks again for watching. Until the next show, bye for now.